everyone. Welcome to Flutespresso, sponsored by Flute Specialists. My name is Heather Neuenschwander, and I am so excited to be here today with the one and only Andrea Fluterscooter Fisher. Hello, Andrea.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for having me on this podcast. From Belgrade, Serbia to Iowa City, a place where I used to live, actually.
So, for those of you new to Flutespresso, this is a live coffee chat. And it looks like the coffee chat is happening just between Andrea and I, but that's not necessarily true because we invite all of you to join in the fun with us. So, first, grab your preferred beverage. Cheers.
Cheers.
And then join us here live. Write some comments. Write some questions, join in the conversation with us. Our first question that I would ask for all of you at home, please write in the chat. Let us know what you're drinking and where you're joining from so we can see all the areas of the world that people are at. And while you go get your preferred coffee, tea, maybe you're overseas like Andrea and it's the evening, so your preferred evening beverage, whatever that is, I'm going to read a little bit of a bio as an introduction for Andrea. Andrea, aka Fluterscooter, is a flutist, producer, and entrepreneur, a graduate of the Juilliard School and a Powell Flutes artist. Andrea is the founder of Fluterscooter Bags, founded 12 years ago, correct? 12?
13.
13 years ago now. Fluterscooter has now grown to be sold in over 250 stores worldwide, which is including Flute Specialists, which is proud to be a dealer of Fluterscooter bags. The bags have even gotten the attention of Lizzo, which I want to ask you about later, planting that seed. Andrea's eclectic flute career includes performances and recordings with John Legend, and she has produced and recorded for 50 Cent, DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, Scarface, Kodak Black, Puff Daddy, and Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull. Andrea was active in the inception of the Juilliard School's entrepreneurship program as one of their first resident entrepreneurs. She was also a founder, editor, and writer for the Flute View magazine. Welcome, Andrea. Thank you for being our special guest. Cheers to you one more time.
Cheers to you, Heather.
Tell us again where you're joining from and what you're drinking.
I am joining you from Belgrade, Serbia. And I am drinking something quite odd, and I'm going to just put it up in the display here. Bet you've never seen this before. Since it is, there's Jess.
Here she is, yeah.
Since it's 5 o'clock in the evening in Serbia, I'm drinking tea. But this is special kind of tea. It's propolis, which is like a bee pollen and tree sap, kind of, it's called bee glue. There's also turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, and black pepper. I mean, it's like all the good stuff in here. So these come in like, they look like little bouillon cubes, and you just pour water over them, and it's counteracting all the pollen that's in the air right now in Belgrade. So I have a little bit of stuffiness, if just so you know. But hopefully this will help, and it's very delicious.
Well, I saw, since we were talking about Jessica before this started, and Jessica said she's also getting over a little bit of stuffiness. Do you want to introduce Jessica as well?
Yeah, Jessica Peltier, who was on the comments here, is the sales director for Fluterscooter School Spirit Bags, which we'll be talking about later. So everyone say hi to Jessica too.
Fantastic. So it's hard to imagine there could be a flutist out there who's not familiar with Fluterscooter, but do you want to tell everybody the concept behind Fluterscooter, and please incorporate how you got the name?
Yeah, actually there are flutists that don't know about Fluterscooter, and I'm finding them all the time. There are always going to be new flute players. Like we're not going anywhere. So, the people that didn't know who Fluterscooter was, let's say when they were in 6th grade, and now they're high school seniors, and just finding out about me, yeah, people are just learning about these bags and who I am as a flutist and a flutist slash organist. So the name Fluterscooter came about when I was, as you mentioned in my bio, I worked a lot in hip hop studios after I graduated, and I always had a scooter. I was always riding around a little, it wasn't a Vespa, it was a little Honda scooter. And I always had my flute on my back. Now, this is pre-Fluterscooter bags. So I had my flutes in a Hello Kitty yoga bag. So I always had the flutes and I always had the scooter. And even in like 20-degree weather, I would be driving it to sessions at odd hours of the night. And people normally wouldn't do that, like in cold. So they just coined the name. These producers at the studio just coined the name Fluterscooter as just kind of like an artist name. And I loved it. It just kind of stuck. Everyone had nicknames. Like no one used their normal names. So I became Fluterscooter because Andrea Fisher is just not cool enough as Fluterscooter is. But Fluterscooter is very memorable. It's catchy, and it's fun. And eventually when I started the bag business, Fluterscooter, I already had that name and people already sort of knew that as me. And it just kind of made sense because Fluterscooter, it's a fun brand. It's a fun flute lifestyle brand. It's light. It's, get on a scooter and go and, have this bag and have fun. And that's just how the name came about. And I've had the logo and the name for 13 years now, this is my 13th year of doing this. And I thought of that the other day. I was like, that's a really long time. 13 years, right? But the brand has evolved so much in that amount of time, and I'm so excited about where it's going now. So
I feel that you just really became a Fluterscooter. You almost many people I feel have met you and they don't even remember your name is Andrea. You are Fluterscooter.
Yeah, if you Google Andrea Fisher, I don't know what comes up, but if you Google Fluterscooter, it's like, okay, so much. So Heather, what are you drinking in Iowa City?
Oh, thank you for introducing me. I'm drinking black coffee as I do every day of my life. It is my go juice that keeps me going. Not very exciting, but necessary for everyday things.
Wonderful.
So let's see here. Your bags now, they seem to be very fashionable. That's kind of the idea behind it, right? Have you always been a very fashionable person and that's what brought this about?
Yeah, going back again to these hip hop sessions, the reason I had wanted to make a bag is because at that time, back in 2008, 2007, when I was doing a lot of these, there wasn't a bag out there that was cool, that was hip, that was that you could be proud to take with you. It looked kind of, everything had that like vinyl, like band geeky look. And I didn't like that. I would dress up to go into these performances and sessions. And the only thing that didn't look right was my flute bag. So I had a fashion designer. I brought the idea up to him and asked if he could make me a sample of like a fun looking flute bag. And at the time I wanted something in silver. So the first sample was just for myself, and it was done in this silver. I'm sure you've seen that one, and you've probably even sold that. That was the original Fluterscooter bag, which was only intended just for me. I had never thought about doing a bag business. I just wanted something cool for myself. So that's kind of how the idea came about. And then I always tell this story. I was walking to the New York Flute Fair when it was in Manhattan, and I had this sample bag on my shoulder, and I was stopped before I even got to the event space where the fair was being held by 3 teenage flutists from Long Island, and they were like, "Oh my God, where did you get that flute bag? That's so cute." So yeah, and I said, "Oh, I had someone make this for me," and they were like, "Well, if you sold it, we would totally buy it." And that was kind of like the light bulb went off. And at that time, the sessions and freelance work in New York, it was good, but not good enough. I wanted something that, I could have as a business and not have to worry about, when the next gig would come. I wanted to have this other thing. So, after many months and months and even years of research and development, finally, the first Fluterscooter bag was born, and it was the silver bag. And that's all I had for like the first 2 years of this business, was just that silver.
Interesting. So now you've been branching out quite a bit lately. We're excited that we have a lot of Fluterscooter bags in stock right now, and we're happy to carry them. But you have some new projects going on as well. Do you want to tell us about them?
Yeah, actually a lot of projects that I don't usually talk about, but a lot of people know about, is I make bags for flute companies now, and now guitar companies, conducting baton companies. So I'm doing a lot of what's called in the industry OEM work, which is original equipment manufacturing. Here's the big one, is Martin guitars. And that was so cool to be able to work with them, because I grew up around Martin guitars. I grew up in a small town kind of outside of Philadelphia, called Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And Martin guitar was in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, which was probably just 15 minutes away. And, everyone in that area knows Martin guitars. So I had gone to Summer NAMM when it was still Summer NAMM, I think like 2 years ago, and in Nashville. And I met with them, and I had a guitar bag sample, because this was still just kind of in the middle of the pandemic, and flute players were still kind of not, as active as we are now. So I started to get samples made of guitar bags, and I showed one to Martin, and that kind of took off. They're launching at NAMM, I guess, this week, a new ukulele with another brand that you'll probably all know about, which I can't talk about it until it's launched, but that'll be at NAMM, so it's very soon. So the gig bags I've done for Martin were for their Shawn Mendes custom edition guitar, their tenor ukuleles, and then another ukulele project, which will launch this week. And they've been awesome, and I've been able to use mostly sustainable materials for them too, which their outer case, the outer shell of the bags, is 100% recycled polyester, meaning plastic bottles are recycled from the ocean, and with a process of breaking them down and then weaving them, eventually making them into fabric, it creates this really cool material, which we did for the eco bag, which I know it's the exact same material. And another project, which is, since we're talking about sustainability, are the new school spirit bags, which I have here. Everyone out there is looking at these and saying, what are these? Okay, Jessica. Yes, so these are just two of them here. This one is red, black, and white. Many school colors have that, and this one is purple and gold. So
I love everything purple. I'm very excited.
Well, these are also made from, now these are made from a different material as the eco bag. These are from also recycled plastic, but this is 51%. Whereas the eco bag, it's a totally different material. These are more like leather. Thank you, Noah. Yeah, everyone loves this purple one, by the way. This is a favorite. Yeah, so these are made with 51% recycled plastic. So it's the same kind of process of recycled plastic bottles, except the material is a bit different. It's more like a leathery feel. And these hold up. These are waterproof. These are fantastic. So this is the latest project for Fluterscooter, and Jessica Peltier, who is the sales director for this school spirit line, we just launched these very recently, kind of in the middle of marching band season this past fall. So I am sure that we're going to have a huge Fluterscooter School Spirit marching band collective happening this marching season. So we're excited about that. So these are actually some stock colors. I have like about 7 different. Oh, Rebecca Peterson, yeah. The Hawkeye Marching Band Piccolo bag. Yes, there's one in black and gold, and everyone loves that one too. I think that one is a favorite, and the purple. So we kind of came up. We kind of came up with these like stock colors based on what schools have these color combinations. So these are available, and then we also do custom bags. So we did some for Arizona State in the maroon and gold, some for Westchester University. Actually, this is like the mini version of the Westchester University flute bag. So we outfitted their entire flute section with school spirit flute bags, which are so cool. And also some navy and white flute bags for University of North Florida. So just excited to see how many more schools we will get to sign on this marching season. So, oh, and Coastal Carolina, of course. Coastal Carolina was the first school, and I just don't have those. That was a custom order too, in teal and bronze, and those are. And speaking of Coastal Carolina, Jessica Peltier is the flute professor there. So, small world.
So I try not to drink a lot of, water out of those plastic disposable water bottles. I feel guilty every time I have my, of course, purple reusable one, but I will admit that when I've had to use one of those, I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be cool if that turned into a Fluterscooter bag?
Well, yeah, I did too, and they are. And sustainability is a big part of what the Fluterscooter brand is doing, for the future. I have some other projects in the works that I also, cannot talk about yet because I don't have the samples even done. So my factory is making them right now. But one of the bags is not for flute. There's a hint.
Super
and it's a school spirit bag, and it's not for flute or piccolo.
Well, this is one in the comments. You all get to go just wild, just speculate wildly, and let's see what we can all come up with. I love it. That's fantastic. Well, thanks for showing us the bags. We dropped the discount code that we're running right now for selling Fluterscooter bags on our website, so please do check that out. We are very happy to support the bags and you. And I'm going to come back to it because I said I would, and it's in my brain still. Did you know that Lizzo was going to take one of your bags to the Met Gala? Have you met Lizzo? I just need to know everything.
No, I wish I met Lizzo. I have not gotten the opportunity. A few years ago, I got an email. I remember this very vividly because I was driving, and I get email notifications pop up, and it was something. It said something about Lizzo in the subject, so I just quickly pulled over, and I was in New York City at the time, and I just remember I was just like screaming in my car, like on 6th Avenue, like it was Lizzo's manager, and she had wanted to get Lizzo a bag or two for her birthday as a gift. So she asked if I could recommend any, and I thought Lizzo would love the silver and the black patent leather, and Callie Green has a lot of Fluterscooter bags. So yeah, I was so thrilled to get that message and correspond with her management team about getting her bags. Now she posted first a little, she didn't really post a lot of it, but it was like in a corner of one of her Instagram posts. And that was a few years back, though. That was probably 4 years ago, before she was really Lizzo. I mean, she was still Lizzo, but now she's like, megastar.
Yes.
So, yeah, last year when this whole Met Gala thing came about, I was in Berlin, and it was like another thing. A friend of mine sent me a video that Vogue's YouTube had of Lizzo with the red patent leather flute bag, like all over this video of like a behind the scenes getting ready for the Met Gala. And I'm like, oh my God, wow. Okay. So, that was one of those moments that, you just sit and be grateful and, just think to yourself, okay, I made it. There were many opportunities like that in other aspects of, my career, but Lizzo, I mean, she's such a superstar, and the fact that she likes the bags so much that she'll post, have them in her posts and use them. It's so cool. So I hope I could meet Lizzo one day, but we'll see.
And you're no stranger to the hip hop world. I just find it so interesting that you recorded on several tracks like Lizzo. I mean, you're kind of like Lizzo then in that way. You've recorded on
I think we're unique in our own ways, but yeah, I did a lot of hip hop right when I got out of school. I have perfect pitch and I can improvise easily. So it was just kind of, it was easy for me, those sessions. The only thing that was annoying about them is that they started at like 2 a.m. And sometimes people they were supposed to start at 11 p.m. and they would end up starting at 2 a.m. So it taught me patience and, if you really want it, but it also taught me like determination. Like if you really want something, you're not going to be like, oh, I waited an hour, I'm going to go home. You're going to stay and wait. If they show up 4 hours late, it's just part of the process of, if you want to get your name out there, or back then, and still now you have to go the extra mile. And, so, yeah.
So, did you meet anyone famous that we would know during that time? I see names, of course.
Yeah, all pretty much. Well, 50 Cent, I recorded in his home, actually, his home studio. And that session started at 5 a.m. And we got there at like 9 p.m. He walks in at like whatever from the club. And it's like, we worked on a track called Amusement Park. John Legend, I worked with on several occasions where Sony would just call me in, and I was on a song on his second album called Another Again, which has a flute solo. And we worked on a lot of other stuff too that just didn't come out. These songs were on the album, but there's a lot that you can work on that doesn't necessarily make those albums. DJ Khaled, I met in Miami. We worked in his studio. I didn't meet Rick Ross, but yeah, mostly I was working with a lot of their producers, and then the producers kind of like shop the beats to the artists. And but I'm not doing any of that anymore. I think I'm probably too old.
No.
They like youth.
Well, and it's such an interesting juxtaposition from that start in hip hop, and then I know you from the videos of you playing flute and organ.
Are we going to talk about flute and organ now?
Only if you want to. Yeah,
I do. What's interesting is I did a little experiment on March 31st. So, all these videos, all this content is years and years old now. Like if you've seen these, you've probably seen these right when they came out. And like I was saying, like a lot of flute players don't know who Fluterscooter is yet because they haven't really, they were too young. So what I did was, I pay attention to trends, and as much as I don't like TikTok, also Jessica Peltier manages the Fluterscooter TikTok, which I have yet to see, but apparently a lot of people are on it and liking our videos. I can't, that's another thing. I feel like I'm too old to get it. But I follow it enough. I see it enough to know like what people are doing. So all I did was create like a 50-second clip of my old Bach E minor. And then I put some kind of thing, some kind of witty text saying when you can't find an accompanist. And, all these, I think it's up to 800 likes and tens of thousands of views on Instagram. And I don't usually get that type of response on full videos. So I just made it short and I put it up for Bach's birthday, which was, I guess, March 31st. It's debated whether it's the 31st or the 21st. So I put it up and all these flute players ended up finding me. I think I got like 250 followers since that. So it's still, it's still relevant. And it's just about recycling old content and making it fresh to the newer flutists who are, teenagers or in college right now. So they know these trends and they'll watch it and share it rather than watching a full video. But I prefer to watch the full video, but that's just me.
I was going to say, I would roll my eyes, except I have a limit at about 1 minute. If it's over a minute, I probably
same.
Oh, that's amazing. So let's see here. You didn't talk about why you're in Serbia. Would you like to do that?
Yeah. Wow. Serbia. Yeah. I never thought I would be here in a million years. Like I traveled a ton, mostly in Asia and other parts of Europe. But I never thought anything would bring me to Serbia. And I never expected that I'd be here like 2+ years after I first arrived. I mean, it's kind of on and off. I am back in the States. I was back in the States for a few months doing some shows. And that's where I saw Robert in Kentucky. And that's when we started talking about this this interview. So, but I've been spending most of my time in Belgrade, and there's an amazing flute community out here. I'll be selling these bags at a piccolo weekend in May, which is all piccolo. So there's a really great piccolo and flute association out here. And also in Eastern Europe, there's so many flute players out here, just as anywhere else. But how I got to Serbia, it's one of those weird pandemic stories. Yeah. So I also have these meditation albums that I don't actively promote because I don't really promote them to flutists. They're for like meditation communities and played in certain circles in that world. So I kind of have people doing that for me, and they're in charge of the project. And I produce these albums. I play keyboards. I do arranging. I compose, and I play a ton of world flutes on these albums. So we were trying to do the 4th installment of these in Los Angeles, and this is like January 2021, like when things were like really bad, like you couldn't even like go into a cafe in the States. And, it was just, we kept rescheduling and rescheduling and rescheduling, just, as everyone was doing. And I'm like, we have to do this. People need this music now more than ever. So the person in charge of the project put some feelers out, and there was a musician that he knew that was living here and working with this studio that also did kind of meditation music. And he was like, would you be open to going to Serbia? It's totally open. Everything is like, nothing really shut down here, which was like kind of refreshing, to be able to go somewhere and it's almost like you're going back in time or going into the future, or I don't know how to describe it, but I had musicians coming in the studio like every day, different instruments, and we were able to get the project done. So we were only supposed to be working for a month, and we did wrap up in about a month. And I was just like, I don't want to go back. I just want to stay here. So I ended up just, initially I was in an Airbnb, and then I was able to get a long-term rental through the host. It was so easy. And things here are very, very, very inexpensive. So you can make kind of snap decisions like that. And I did. And I did a lot of networking into the flute community out here, and I ended up doing a lot of events. I'm doing an event in 2 weeks, exhibiting at a festival, and then the event in May. And I've done entrepreneurship, and this is the cool thing about Serbia, and about my entrepreneurial lectures and presentations. You know, they don't hear about this often. You know, the States, I feel, is quite saturated, but in a good way, with people that are, you know, carving their own career paths. There are any number of people that can talk to groups about how they started their career, not just in flute, but in, you know, classical music or the arts. Serbia, it's a relatively new concept, so I feel that you know, it's important to be able to teach and inspire people that normally wouldn't hear it. And you know, I did one event back in the fall through the Flute Association for students and teachers, and they were so grateful for this, and some of them were even crying and like saying, "We don't get this here. You know, you tell the truth." And like, I guess, you know, especially as a woman, it's still a bit, you know, it's still a bit backwards as far as certain things are concerned here. But I feel like it's places like this that need to hear these stories and need to hear these lessons, and to hear that, well, you can do this too. You know, it's just about thinking differently. And if you're used to thinking a certain way for, you know, a long time, it can be difficult. But I think it's almost like my role to be able to communicate that with students and teachers here. So that, you know, that's a bigger reason of why I stayed. I will be doing an entrepreneurship lecture at a performing arts high school in 2 weeks here too, in another city in Serbia. So I'm excited about that too. So I just feel like it's a place that really needs this type of thing. But also, I find Serbia and Eastern Europe so fascinating and so musically inspiring. Like, I can go after this and walk down one of the biggest shopping streets and hear these children, like gypsy musicians, playing accordion and drum. I kind of like them because they're so amazing. I mean, you just hear it in their voice. It's in their DNA that, you know, it's different. You know, I would never hear this from any musicians in New York. They just have something that is so different that I love to be able to hear. So, yeah.
I can imagine when you started at Juilliard, it probably would have been hard to imagine that this is where you would be now in Serbia, and talking about your band line and known as Fluterscooter.
Yeah, you know, interestingly enough, I had wanted to be an orchestral player when I got into Juilliard, and I love orchestral music. But instead of joining the orchestra, I am the orchestra. So I'm working on another video. I am practicing. There's a church I can practice here, which is the Copeland Hoedown, which I've performed. I've performed that live. And it's so fun. And, you know, obviously the Dance Macabre, the Vivaldi's Winter, you know, I still love having that harmony, but it's such a challenge and so much more fun to try to do it on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we reach kind of the end of our time, though, I wonder if you have, I know it goes by so fast, doesn't it?
It does.
I wonder if you have any advice for people who maybe thought they were going to be in that orchestral musician box and they're starting to think about other things. Do you have any advice for young entrepreneurs or other?
Oh, yeah. I mean, always keep an open mind, and don't ever doubt yourself. And I think that's what a lot of people, I never did. I was different though. I think I had a very determined, I don't know, I just never took no for an answer, and I always did things my own way. And it's so fun to do that. And, you know, always be looking for inspiration, even if you don't know what it is. You know, I tell classes that I talk to strangers. like in person, not not online, and tell them about what you do, and have, be able to share your story and be able to listen to someone else's story. And that could, just those interactions could inspire you to create something, and not always just being around flutists and other classical musicians. I think I've gotten my best advice for the business and entrepreneurship from people that aren't even in the arts, just through networking and meeting people, and being open. And I think also everyone has all of this at their fingertips now. When I started, think 13 years ago, there was nothing. We wouldn't be able to do this, what we're doing now. I had to go to shows physically and show, bring products with me. Now I get clients and dealers mostly through, now it's Instagram. It was Facebook years ago. So it's kind of, it shifts. And the marching bands are mostly on, the marching band sections are mostly on TikTok. So that's a new avenue as well. So it's just about, also finding what aligns with you at the moment. I don't, the Fluterscooter bags, I don't know if I'll be doing this forever and ever. I have other things I want to do that aren't anything related to this. They are related to music, but won't get into that.
Oh, you've planted some seeds of mystery here, which I enjoy thoroughly.
Yeah.
So as I get to the bottom of my cup, and it looks like you are as well, we decided that we are caffeinated enough for an express round is the idea here.
Okay, wow, what is that?
So we rush our way out with some Flutespresso favorites. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you a couple topics, and you can tell me what your favorite is, or you can pass. Anything is welcome. But the first one hopefully is an easy one. What is your favorite coffee or tea?
Oh, well, I mean, this is good what I'm drinking now, but my go-to, if I would be drinking coffee, is cold brew with oat milk.
Good choice.
But not when it's too cold. Then I'll just get regular coffee, but with oat milk and a little cinnamon.
Ooh, I like it. Oh, this one might be difficult, but do you have a favorite Fluterscooter bag?
Ooh, I kind of love these piccolo bags. I'm always like obsessed with like the bags that I have, the newest ones, because they're so, this is just like a mini Fluterscooter bag. It's so adorable, don't you think? Yes. But if I were to, actually my Fluterscooter bag is a sample that I had made for me. That we didn't talk about. That's one of these projects on the back burner things. It's made from another recycled material that is quite special. So that one is my favorite, but you can't see it yet.
Okay. More seeds of mystery.
More mystery. Oh,
I love it. I absolutely love it. Just keep us wanting more.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite place to visit?
Like as far as like a country or like travel?
Yes.
Anywhere in Japan. I had lived there for some, a year and a half or so. My soul is in Japan. However, talking about Eastern Europe, Slovenia is incredible. It's so magical. It's like enchanted forests. So while I'm here, I can just hop over to Slovenia. I love it. But I would say Japan, all the time. Also, Iowa City has some nice white-tailed deer.
Yes. We were in my carpool for a symphony rehearsal last night. We were talking about how you came to love our deer here in Iowa.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I would come to Iowa City just to see that deer who ate from my hand. But it's like hard to find a deer. You can't text them and be like, I'm on the corner. I have corn.
You made that sound so Snow White. I just love it. Eating from your hands. I love it. As we're in the middle of some holidays right now, I wondered if you have a favorite holiday.
Halloween.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, I would wear a costume 365 days a year if I could.
100%. Absolutely. All right, last one. Do you have a favorite fashion accessory besides your Fluterscooter bag?
Ooh. Favorite fashion accessory. I do have a scarf that I like very much because it has deer on it.
You kept the theme. Look at that.
I do. I have a lot of things with a deer on them. That's just, how I am. But flute-wise, I should say Sempre Flute, which you sell her cleaning cloths and swabs. She's doing, Elizabeth Lacoste is her name. She's doing a really great product there, and I love to support the next generation of flute entrepreneurs. So kudos to Elizabeth and the Sempre Flute brand. I just got one of her cloths when I saw Robert. So I've been.
And the new thing is these tarnish savers as well, which I will tell you about in just a minute.
Cool.
Yeah, but great. Nice shout out for Elizabeth. But thank you so much for being here and having a cup of coffee with me virtually and sharing it with the audience. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you, Heather, and thank you for the everyone in the audience. I saw some nice comments there, and I guess so. The 10% off code for the 10% off code goes until.
This week, I believe through Thursday, we are offering 10% off the Fluterscooter bags on our website. I bet you Callie will drop that one more time in the comments here. I'm just seeing some of the others come in with little thank yous. And hi again, Noah. Absolute pleasure as well. So we'll get that dropped in the comments one more time, and we've sent an email as well. So please do like us on social media. And Flute Specialist is very, very happy to be a dealer for Fluterscooter bags. There it is. The code is Fluterscooter10. We made that really difficult. Thank you so much, Andrea. Let's do one final cheers.
Okay. Thank you, Heather, and Flute Specialists.